So as a reply to Holy Two Moons and Christy Rivera on to look at Easter, so Holly sent me some comments and just said multiple times to look at Easter. At that time, Easter was still far away, and there were other feasts, like for example Purim in between, so I didn't get any revelation to kind of answer her at that time. But then when I saw the video from Christy, when Holly made the video about the Easter basket and the pin with the number she couldn't remember, and Christy had that number, then I was like, oh, that's the solution. That's the go sign for me to add my puzzle piece suggestion on the table. So this is it. Look at Esther. Easter, Esther. Look at Purim. And then this basket number, which I'm coming to in a bit, that was the confirmation to look at Esther and Purim, for me at least. It might be multiple ways these are true and have meaning, but this is the puzzle piece. But then I was thinking, but Purim and Esther, I mean, it's already past. Why would that be still relevant? And why was the word Easter in Holly's original comment? It is close to Esther, but is there something else? And what is the significance of this basket full of these eggs? And then the Strong's 4161, which is 63, which is a feminine of 61. And then why we're talking about Easter and not Passover? So let me go through these, starting with the Purim. So in the book of Esther, this is where we get the Purim feast. And the book of Esther is very special, and I'll go through it on a high level in this video. So first of all, Esther is a Persian name, which means star. But the Hebrew, if say Esther in Hebrew, and it has become a Hebrew name since, means to hide or to conceal. So the book of Esther, that's called Megillah Esther in Hebrew, that means a scroll, because scroll you always like uncover. So it's uncovering of hiddenness, or uncovering that which is hidden, or uncovering star, or revelation of the concealed. That's what book of Esther, Megillah Esther means. And then we could say that Esther is a star that shines because she is veiled. And then there will be a moment of reveal, and this is referring to the unveiling of the bride in ancient Hebrew weddings. No one was allowed to see the face of the bride, and that was a highlight moment in the wedding. In the modern wedding, everybody knows the bride's face. We have so many pictures and everything. But in the ancient times, it was the moment that everybody saw the face of the bride for the first time. And then there's an additional name for Esther, which is the actual Hebrew name that she had before given this Persian name of Esther, and that's Hadassah, which means myrtle, and that symbolizes resilience. So we could say this is the book of uncovering the resilient ones. Isn't that great? But then, coming back to my first question, Purim already passed, right? So, looking at the channel Blow the Shofar, and Daniel is going to do a lot of work on coming to the conclusion and providing the evidence that the full moon is the actual true new moon. It's restored to its full brightness, and it's the head of the months is always the full moon. But and if we take this assumption, then 3-3 was the beginning of Adar, so Purim would have been plus 14, 15 in walled cities. So today is Purim in walled cities. And the Hebrews celebrated Purim on the blood moon, the full moon. In some sense, that is correct, because the full moons, it's so great what God is doing right now. If you think about it, they usually celebrate things on really wrong places, but now this is on the kind of right place, but it's the blood moon. But Purim is the one feast of the year which is about reversals, and it should be celebrated on the darkest moon, the completely hidden moon. So the next new moon, let me see if I can, is tomorrow. And then the thing is, do we celebrate Purim on the perfect dark moon or one day after it? Anyways, and if the full moon was the beginning of Adar, then the Purim is now anyways. So these 3 days right now, ending to the Saturday morning, might be significant. Okay, let's go back in here. Alright, so, and there's additional thing. Let me actually take this backdrop. So the day and the night were of equal length in Jerusalem during 1617. But then the reported equinox will be on the 20th. So perhaps God is kind of showing us the truth to look with our own eyes, but then doing something on the days on which the world, the corrupted version, is taking place, to kind of show the true thing and then the corrupted thing, and kind of tying it all together for those with eyes to see and ears to hear. So this is the equinox reported. So then the end of this week until end of Saturday might be very, very significant. Alright. And we all know equinox is the end of the night, so then the morning begins. But then we have that concept of twilight that I've talked about. We'll talk about that more in another video, because right now the next question I had on the list was related to this dream that both Holy Two Moons and Christy saw. And it was this Easter basket, and then this is the handle, and then this pin was holding it in place. And there was a number in here related to the rapture. And then Holly couldn't remember the number, but Christy provided that puzzle piece in here. So let's go through this. So Easter is the holiest time of the year. I've come to this conclusion due to that Jesus was crucified during this time. So that is the most significant event in all of human history. That's when God showed his full power and redeemed all humanity, made a new, renewed covenant, which is completely based on what the Son of the Trinity did for everybody who is willing to accept it. Good and the bad. And there is we have learned that in the Jewish tradition, Hebrew tradition, many things have kind of veered off track, but there are some things in it that I find interesting. Like for example, on Purim, that's the most kind of joyous feast of the year, and you're allowed to get fully drunk on Purim. So drunk that you couldn't tell the difference between Mordechai and Haman, so the hero and the villain of the story. And lately I've been watching a few of the rabbis kind of struggle with all these things, and it's amazing. They cannot see the connect with Jesus and what he did. He died for everybody, the good and the bad. The difference is that the bad are not taking the hand. They are not coming to the foot of the cross and bowing down. So Easter is the holiest time, and the adversary has attacked that time of the year with the Queen of Heaven and other things. But now we introduce a thought that the story of Esther and connect with the bride of Christ is the true feminism. Because it says in the Bible that in the heaven there will no longer be man and woman like we know here on earth, but will we be like the angels somehow. I don't know exactly what that means, but we know that in the story of Esther, she's really a woman, and a competition on who is the queen for the king, and she won it, and she's truly a woman. She was ready to take the risk and risk everything, her life as well, and to connect somehow to Jesus sacrificing his life. He really did that and went through the most excruciating death. So in that sense, there is that is the connecting part between the feminine and the masculine spirits, self-sacrifice. That is what men and women can both do. And yeah, isn't that beautiful? Alright, but coming back to the Easter basket. So what is this basket for? It holds the eggs, which are very fragile, just like the bubbles I had in my previous video. And the egg is holding the important things within the shell, as are the bubbles. And what is inside is hidden from view. Like Esther, the king didn't know she was Jewish until the very critical moment. But then the peg that holds the handle, so without the peg the basket would fall and all the eggs, or at least some of them, would break, right? God is holding this handle in place, and this is the restrainer. There might be good and bad eggs in the basket, right? That's what Jesus did for us at the cross. We put all of our hope to this pin at the moment, but when it's taken out, we don't put our hope anymore on the pin so much as we put our hope on the one that is holding the basket, and that's Jesus. And the fact that the number was 4163, that is the feminine version of the word. And then let's look at what it is. 4161. So this was the feminine version, is the 63 on this It means exit Easter. The watcher star of the east is Aldebaran in Taurus. That is connected with the equinox, which is happened in Jerusalem and is happening right now. Gate is Jesus. Fountain of living water, that's Jesus again. Where the sheep in his meadow. So, could this be alluding to the first fruits harvest of those that are alive by the harvester Jesus himself? Before this peg is removed, the good eggs need to be picked out, raptured. Let me know what you think in the comments. So now that we come to the last question. So why looking at the Easter and not Passover? So there's a lot of connects with these two feasts. As we know, the calendars are mixed up, and maybe the main point of the adversary was to mix up the calendars, to mix up the appointed times. Passover is the most important one, so he really wanted to mess this up. So Purim is about the reversals and revelations, so maybe all these things that are now coming up are revealing and reversing what the adversary is doing. Like, for example, we learned about the calendars and not to trust them. And we learned about the feminism, the true feminism movement. It's about unity in self-sacrifice and working together. Esther worked very closely with Mordecai. Purim saves an entire people of God in the ultimate conclusion from genocide. Antichrist wants to genocide every true believer on this earth. Through one woman's courage, this be the bride of Christ, for such a time as this, with the support of her adopted father Mordecai. Mordecai adopted her, like Jesus' kinsman redeems us, right? Easter resurrection of the divine human Jesus from the tomb by his true father. Jesus was resurrected by his actual blood father. And then in the rapture, we would be not resurrected but raptured by the Son. Both turn doom to deliverance by a divine hand. So the adversary is the Haman as the eternal enemy of Israel, and we know we are grafted into Israel. We're not replacing Israel. And both Passover and Purim celebrate the defeat, the victory over the adversary by God. Purim often precedes Passover, but there are rare overlaps, right, like we see right now. Now, I've been talking about the new moon Purim, but if it is, it might be true in both ways. It could be right now kind of pointing and winking at the equinox connect with Purim, beginning of the new thing. There is this concept of twilight, and it could be exactly 14 days. So from the 19th to 14th, that's the 2nd of April. So if we look at the April, 2nd of April is full moon. And this is when the Hebrews, the Jewish people, celebrate Passover this year. But perhaps it is Purim if it's Adar 2, or I don't know if it's the Purim is on the new moon, but it's a wink anyways to this full moon, which is 14 days after. So here we see some overlaps between Purim and the Passover. Maybe this is the prophetic convergence of reversal. So Esther risks everything. Of course, Jesus Christ knew what would happen, and only Jesus descended into death, but Esther was in concealment, doing like a human, very humble version of this. But in the end, light wins. There's some connect there. And then the last one, in Passover, that celebrates deliverance via visible signs, blood on doorposts, parted sea, miracles that happen in the open. But Purim celebrates deliverance with invisible providence by God. There are no miracles per se. There is no name of God in the Megillah Esther. Just a hidden queen and a lot of coincidences. Like the king couldn't sleep and wanted to see the records, and then found out that Mordecai saved his life from the two eunuchs who deliberated to assassinate him and so on. And then as he was reading that, then Haman was coming in to ask to hang Mordecai. I mean, it looks like it's a coincidence and pure human politics. But the God was there, exerting influence, yet fully hidden. Yeah. So Purim alone celebrates concealed deliverance out of the feasts. It's a perfect match for the concealed new moon. So, if nothing else, perhaps then this time between the concealed full moon and then the next full moon will be very significant. And here we have the equinox, reported equinox. I'll leave you with this. So let's keep looking up on the new moon, or then if we take the full moon as the new moon, and who knows if there's Adar 2, or when the Jubilee ends we can harvest again. It could be here. Thank you.